Self-worth is not given, it is built. These 7 words from John Locke shatter one of the most dangerous lies we've been told since childhood. You've been deceived. We all have. We've been raised to believe that our value comes from somewhere else, from our parents' approval, our grades, our salary, our Instagram likes, our relationship status. We chase validation like addicts, desperately seeking that next hit of external confirmation that we matter. But here's the uncomfortable truth. No one can give you worth. No trophy, no promotion, no "I love you" whispered in the dark can fill the void where your self-respect should be. John Locke, the 17th century philosopher who helped shape modern democracy, understood something we've forgotten in our age of constant performance and digital validation. He knew that human dignity isn't bestowed by kings or crowds. It's forged in the quiet moments when no one is watching. We live in what I call the validation economy, a system where your sense of self becomes a commodity traded on the reactions of others. You post a photo and refresh obsessively, measuring your worth in hearts and comments. You work late into the night, not for the satisfaction of meaningful work, but for the fleeting recognition of a boss who might not even remember your name next week. You shape your opinions to fit what's acceptable, your appearance to match what's trending, your dreams to align with what others expect. Think about it. When was the last time you felt genuinely proud of yourself without needing someone else to notice? When did you last accomplish something meaningful purely for the satisfaction of having done it well? If you're struggling to answer, you're not alone. We've created a culture of external scorekeepers, where worth is measured by metrics that have nothing to do with who we actually are. The most insidious part of this deception is how reasonable it sounds. Seek feedback, they tell us. Value. Relationships. Care about your reputation. These aren't wrong in themselves, but they become toxic when they replace the fundamental work of building genuine self-respect. We've confused being valued by others with having value, being seen with being significant, being praised with being worthy. This isn't just philosophy, it's survival. In a world that will gladly rent you temporary validation in exchange for your authentic self, understanding the difference between given worth and built worth becomes a matter of psychological life and death. The question isn't whether you deserve to feel valuable. The question is, are you willing to do the work to build something no one can take away? John Locke didn't arrive at this insight casually. Living through political upheaval and religious persecution in 17th century England, he watched empires rise and fall, kings crowned and dethroned. He saw how quickly external sources of power and validation could vanish. His philosophy emerged from a crucial realization. If your sense of worth depends on circumstances beyond your control, you're building your identity on quicksand. Locke believed in what he called the blank slate, the idea that we're born without predetermined worth or worthlessness. But here's what most people miss. This isn't a limitation, it's liberation. You weren't born broken, you weren't born unworthy, but you also weren't born complete. You're a work in progress, and you hold the tools. Consider the difference between a gift and something you've built with your own hands. A gift can be beautiful, meaningful, even precious, but it can also be lost, stolen, or taken back. Something you've built, however, becomes part of you. Every callus on your hands tells a story. Every mistake taught you something. Every small victory added another stone to the foundation of who you are. This is why external validation feels so hollow, even when we receive it. Deep down, we know we didn't earn it in the way that matters. We know it's conditional, temporary, subject to change based on factors we can't control. When someone compliments your appearance, part of you thinks, but what happens when I get old? When someone praises your achievements, a voice whispers, but what if I fail next time? The psychology behind this is fascinating and heartbreaking. We become addicted to what researchers call intermittent reinforcement. The unpredictable nature of external validation creates the same neurological patterns as gambling addiction. You never know when the next like will come, when the next compliment will arrive, when the next moment of approval will validate your existence. So you keep pulling the lever, posting the content, performing the role, desperately hoping this time will be different. Built worth doesn't have these vulnerabilities. When you've developed genuine competence, faced your fears, kept promises to yourself, and acted according to your values even when it was difficult, that creates something unshakable. It's not dependent on mood, weather, or other people's opinions. It's archaeological, layered over time through consistent action. Locke understood that true worth emerges from what he called the labor of our minds and bodies. Not the labor we do for others' approval, but the work we do to become who we're capable of being. This labor is both physical and philosophical, both practical and spiritual. It's the disciplined cultivation of character through repeated choices that align with your deepest values even when, especially when, no one is watching. But how do you build worth? This isn't abstract philosophy. It's practical architecture. Locke understood that self-worth emerges from what he called industrious effort and rational reflection. In modern terms, you build worth through competence and character, action and understanding. Start with competence. Every skill you develop, every challenge you overcome, every problem you solve adds another beam to the structure of your self-respect. This isn't about becoming perfect or exceptional. It's about becoming capable. When you can cook a meal, fix something that's broken, have a difficult conversation, or learn something new, you're proving to yourself that you can handle what life throws at you. This proof accumulates. But here's what most people get wrong about competence. They think it's about being better than others. It's not. It's about being better than you were yesterday. The construction worker doesn't compare his foundation to the architect's blueprint. He focuses on laying each brick with precision and care. Your competence is measured not against others' achievements, but against your own potential and effort. The process looks different for everyone, but the principle remains constant. Incremental improvement through deliberate practice. Maybe it's learning to code, mastering a musical instrument, developing emotional intelligence, or simply becoming more reliable in your commitments. Each genuine accomplishment creates what psychologists call mastery experiences. Moments when you prove to yourself that growth is possible, that effort translates to results, that you are more capable than you thought. But competence without character is just performance. Character is built in the moments when no one is watching, when doing the right thing costs you something, when you keep your word even when it's inconvenient. Every time you honor a commitment to yourself, whether it's exercising when you don't feel like it, speaking truthfully when a lie would be easier, or choosing long-term benefits over short-term pleasure, you're making a deposit in the bank of self-respect. Character development is perhaps the most challenging aspect of building worth, because it requires confronting the gap between who you are and who you claim to be. It means acknowledging your weaknesses without using them as excuses. It means taking responsibility for your choices without blaming circumstances. It means acting according to your values even when it's difficult, especially when it's difficult. Here's the paradox. The more you build genuine worth, the less you need others to validate it. You become less reactive to criticism because you know what you've built. You become less desperate for praise because you have an internal scorecard that actually matters. This isn't arrogance, it's groundedness. Arrogant people are usually the most insecure. They need constant validation because they haven't done the work to build anything real. The construction never stops. Every day presents opportunities to add to your foundation or let it erode. Every choice is either building worth or undermining it. This might sound exhausting, but it's actually liberating. It means that regardless of your past, regardless of what others think, regardless of your current circumstances, you have the power to begin building something substantial today. Locke called this process self-sovereignty, the ability to govern yourself according to principles you've tested and proven, rather than impulses you've inherited or pressures you've internalized. When your worth is built rather than given, you become psychologically free in a way that few people ever experience. This freedom terrifies most people. It's easier to outsource your sense of value to others than to take responsibility for building it yourself. It's more comfortable to blame external circumstances for your lack of fulfillment than to acknowledge that fulfillment is an inside job. But this comfort comes at a devastating cost. You remain forever dependent on forces beyond your control. Self-built worth creates what psychologists call internal locus of control. You understand that while you can't control what happens to you, you can control how you respond. You can't control others' opinions, but you can control whether those opinions affect your sense of self. You can't control outcomes, but you can control your effort and integrity. Think about the difference between someone whose worth is given and someone whose worth is built. The person with given worth walks into a room wondering, do they like me? Am I impressive enough? Will they accept me? The person with built worth walks into the same room thinking, how can I contribute? What can I learn? Who can I help? One is begging, the other is offering. This shift in perspective changes everything. Relationships become partnerships rather than transactions. Work becomes expression rather than performance. Challenges become opportunities rather than threats. You stop asking, am I enough? And start asking, what am I becoming? But here's what's beautiful about this journey. It doesn't require you to become someone else. It requires you to become more fully yourself. Locke believed that each person has a unique contribution to make to the world, but only if they develop the character and competence to make it. Your worth isn't built by copying others' blueprints. It's built by discovering and developing your own authentic capacities. This doesn't mean you become isolated or indifferent to others. Paradoxically, when your worth isn't dependent on external validation, you become more capable of genuine relationships. You can love without desperation, give without keeping score, and receive without feeling indebted. You can be vulnerable without being needy, strong without being defensive. The ripple effects are profound. When you stop seeking worth from others, you stop withholding it from yourself. When you stop performing for approval, you start creating from authenticity. When you stop measuring your value by external metrics, you start appreciating the immeasurable aspects of being human: curiosity, creativity, compassion, courage. The world will always offer you cheap substitutes for real worth. Likes, follows, temporary achievements, other people's approval. These feel good in the moment but leave you hungry for more. Built worth, on the other hand, compounds. Each genuine accomplishment makes the next one more achievable. Each act of integrity makes the next one more natural. Each demonstration of competence increases your confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes next. This is why Locke's insight remains revolutionary after 3 centuries. In an age of increasing external pressure and digital distraction, the ability to build genuine worth from within becomes not just valuable, but essential. It's the difference between living as a free person and living as a beggar for validation. Locke was right. Self-worth is not given, it is built. This isn't just philosophy. It's the blueprint for psychological freedom. The construction site is open. The tools are available. The materials are within reach. The only question remaining is whether you're ready to do the work that no one else can do for you. The choice, as always, is yours. But choose quickly. Every day you wait is another day living at the mercy of others' opinions, rather than the strength of your own character.